good? What's good, y'all? It's yours truly, Nelson of Show Your Work Network. Shout out to the Union. Shout out to Guessing from the Stand. Shout out to Mid Carters and Catering. But this is a new and improved project, a new little side project that I'm working on that I've had in the works for a very long time. As you can see, to your left, or is it my left? I don't even know. Pardon me. But this is something new I'm doing on my own. You know, Larry's got Hello with DJ Larry on all platforms. Winston's doing his stuff on the videography side with King Murphy Media. And with myself, I decided, this was something I had in the works for a while. I just didn't know how to format it, how often I would do it. But, given how we talk about a whole lot of things on Show Your Work Network, which we do go live every Thursday at 9:15 Eastern time. We talk about everything, whether it's music, gaming, lifestyle stuff, sports, random things on the internet. I mean, we talk about anything and everything. So we're a lot of us are well versed in other things more than my co-host. Shout out to Larry, shout out to DJ Larry, shout out to Winston, shout out to Youngin. I'm a little more well versed in certain topics than they are. They're a little more well versed in certain topics, compared to what I am. But with everybody knows, I'm a huge gamer. I am a casual gamer. I ain't no damn professional, but I do have a love for the fighting game community. So for this little side project, as you can see on this nice little logo to my left, this is going to be called Super Art Radio. So with this project, before I even get into explaining it, please make sure to like, share, and subscribe. As you can see, the Union right there, SYWNET on all platforms. Please do not hesitate to follow us. But I would like to say, before we start with that, and get into a little bit of this, because this is kind of an introductory kind of episode. There's not really too many topics, as it says to like, share, and subscribe again. For this Super Art Radio, it's more just the talking about what's going on in the FGC, current news, old news. We may do favorite different soundtracks, talk about different games, games that are known, games that are maybe on the unknown side, but mostly just like a FGC kind of podcast. We're talking about the community, talking about what's going on in the fighting game world. Not really too much on the drama stuff, just more of a person who is a casual but is tapped in and pays attention to what's going on, just giving their thoughts. They're being myself. I might have guests here and there, but this is more so of a passion project. If you're familiar with the channel on Twitch, I did something fighting game related with Mortal Mondays, where I streamed every Mortal Kombat game from Mortal Kombat 1992 Classic, the first Mortal Kombat game, all the way through to Mortal Kombat 11 Aftermath, about a couple months before Mortal Kombat 1 was even announced, or MK1, which that is going to be an episode with itself. I did a video a while back, which I will get into in a future episode, of how they could change MK1 as a casual gamer, because like I said, I'm not a professional. I don't have trophy wins. I'm not at tournaments all the time. I do watch, your EVOs, your ECTs, your Frosty Faustings, Tampa Never Sleeps. Like, I watch that. I tap into, the different battle, the different FGC circuits, and, see what's going on with those. So I'll definitely have news on that as well. But this is just a casual gamer. Give us some casual thoughts. So if you are here for frame rates, plus minuses, all types of if you're here for super sabermetric talk, I treat fighting games, it's like sports. You have to treat them like sports in a way. And hear me out when I explain this, but when it comes to sports, I always tell people, as an avid sports fan as well, you have to think about them like, there's the eye test, there's what you see, plus the numbers or the analytics. If you want to talk frame rates and plus minus and X, Y, and Z, that's cool, but it's really on what you do, how you react. It's off instinct as well. I think there's a balance that some people just tend to not understand or fail to grasp because they just want to be right. So you're gonna get a lot of more. You're gonna get just a more uniformed opinion on, somebody who's a casual who doesn't really is not gonna get crazy meta talk or plus minus talk about it, but just somebody who understands the casual perspective about why these games sell, how they sell, what's wrong, what's right, so on and so forth. It's just me giving my thoughts in a much more and another platform that is based on strictly fighting games. Hence why I am making Super Art Radio. So this is just the main introduction episode. This is not going to take too much of the time. This is just more of a how I got to deciding to make something like this. Which I was I don't want to say I was pushed to do. It was something I always wanted to do. I just didn't know how to do it. Whether I would do streams, which sometimes streaming can take a bit of time, aside from the content we already put out with Show Your Work Network, which we have on our Patreon as well. SYWNET, pay to 3. Streaming games, along the likes of that. Content can be a little bit tiring at times, and obviously we all have personal lives. So I said, you know what? If I'm gonna do something talking about the FGC, sometimes things could be slow. Sometimes, it's a lot to catch up on. So I figured, you know what? Maybe I'll do something where it's maybe bi-weekly, maybe monthly. It'll most likely lean toward or skew toward a monthly kind of upload episode with these things. Maybe I'll do a bi-weekly where it's just something where it's not maybe what's going on in the, right now in the FGC, or the gaming world, but more so, talking just about past memories and, like I said, favorite soundtracks, favorite box arts, favorite intros, you name it. We'll do something. We'll have, guests. I'll have guests down the line. I keep saying we because I'm so used to having multiple co-hosts, but I'm doing something, a little bit of a side passion project by myself. But just to get a little bit about, myself. I've been a fighting game fan for forever. My first video games were fighting games as a kid. I know that sounds kind of crazy, but my parents are pretty, lenient about that, because they're like, well, you ain't gonna do it on somebody else. Like, we taught you not to do that, and if you do, well, there's consequences to that. So I didn't really have that, but as you can see in the background here, these are some of my personal favorites, and I'll get into those. But my first video game fighting game I ever played was Mortal Kombat 1, not MK1, not the mess that has come out from NetherRealm. I'm talking about the original Mortal Kombat from 1992. I was born in 1991, so that was probably maybe 1993, 1994, around the time MK2 came out. My dad had a Super Nintendo. He wasn't like a super avid gamer, but like my first video games I remember playing were the first Mortal Kombat or Classic. I don't know one of y'all gonna have to tell me how to do this, like, because I call it MK1. I'm sorry about that game that came out in September of 2023, excuse me. It's kind of a disservice to that game, but the original Mortal Kombat, NBA Jam, Super Mario World, excuse me, and Super Mario Kart were the first like 4 games I actually remember playing as a child. Then I do remember playing games like Street Fighter. I remember playing, the original Street Fighter 2. I had a cousin who had a Hyper, it was Turbo on Super Nintendo, but it was Hyper Street Fighter 2 in the arcades. But I think what really piqued my interest was Mortal Kombat 2 at a cousin's house who had it for Genesis, because I didn't have it for Super Nintendo as a kid, and that was a little bit later. And then down the line, I did end up playing Street Fighter Alpha. I remember seeing Street Fighter Alpha 2 because back in the day, at the time, for people who don't know, I was born and raised in New York City, and then I moved to North Carolina a couple of years ago. My lovely fiance, so salute to her. But I remember going into a video, like, we had video stores back in the day. We had to buy VHSs, and they would sell video games too sometimes. And I remember seeing the Street Fighter 2 cabinet, Street Fighter Alpha 2. I am so sorry, Street Fighter Alpha 2 cabinet, and it was just like, holy shit! Like, wow, this looks amazing. Like the audio, the anime looking intro. It didn't look like the Street Fighter 2 I played, for Super Nintendo. It was a totally different, intro, a totally different look to it, and it just like had me like, wait, what the hell? Like, how? Why does this look like this? Like, it just blew my mind. Then I remember in the laundromat seeing X-Men versus Street Fighter and like as a kid being like blown away, because as a child, that's 1996. Like, because X-Men versus Street Fighter came out in 1996. So I'm about like 4 or 5 years old. That's like your first really vivid memories. Seeing X-Men on TV and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Power Rangers. Like, in the 90s, I feel like we were spoiled as kids. Because not only did we have it with cartoons, but we had video games and we had everything. Like, as a 90s babies, I feel like we're the last generation that dealt with like analog and digital. And we were the first true generation, like as children, to have to embrace digital and use it for what it's worth, which, I don't want to get too much into a rant, but some people need to understand, pardon me, how to use digital resources for the betterment of themselves and the world, and not for bullshit like, social media. But anywho, back to what I was saying in regards to Alpha 2. So it was Alpha 2, like X-Men versus Street Fighter, like that whole generation, like that whole 90s generation of gaming really got me into fighting games. And then I remember having like, Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3, Mortal Kombat Trilogy for PlayStation. My cousin had the regular copy of Trilogy, and then, for the youngins, there was Greatest Hits, where pretty much, I think it was, if the game sold, was it 1 million copies? I think it was a PlayStation. I don't remember off the top of my head, but I know it was, if the game sold a certain amount, they pretty much would get that game would get like a Greatest Hits copy, which pretty much, it was like, it had a green the siding on the PlayStation jewel case was green. It would be like a silver disc, like to celebrate like a certain amount of sales, and pretty much it would just get pushed out more, so that those copies would be made more. There would be more Greatest Hits copies, so that obviously it was more easily accessible to obviously have more sales. So I remember having Trilogy. I remember seeing Ultimate 3 in an arcade. With Street Fighter, like I had Alpha 2 as a kid. Seeing Alpha 3, like I am like a huge, yes, I did play Mario, like I played Star Fox, like I have, like my gaming palette it's kind of vast, but it really centered around like fighting games and sports games and like platformers here and there. So fighting games I've always had a love for. Like I always loved playing Mortal Kombat. I remember, like, I loved Street Fighter. I love all the Marvel vs. Capcom series. Tekken, like Tekken 2. Tekken 2 I think was my first Tekken I played. I think I ended up getting Tekken 1 down the line. Like I think I got them both like close to each other, because when the time Tekken 2 came out, Tekken was a Greatest Hit, and they also used to make the games cheaper. So I remember getting that like as a Christmas gift. I think I had like Marvel Superheroes. I had NBA Live. And that was at 97. I had Tekken 2. Like my parents, my parents did the best they could for me. So I was able to I was pretty much a Nintendo and Sony kid for my whole life. When it came to handhelds and systems, because I've had Super Nintendo. The only Nintendo system I didn't actually own was a GameCube, but I had Super Nintendo, N64. My sister had a Wii. I have a Switch that I should use more. And then I've had PlayStation 1. I had the mini one, the ONE, the smaller PlayStation 1. And then I had 2, 3, 4, and now we're at 5. So, but yeah, that's been like my fighting game journey. Like it was playing like shit. I remember having MK4. Like I own every Mortal Kombat physically, except for 9 and DC and versus DC, because I had a PS3. I had the big back one that's huge, and I had no use for it. And I should have just kept the copy of MK9, because to me, like, MK9 is the best Mortal Kombat of all time. I mean, you could dispute that with X, but yeah. But you see in the background, these are like my personal favorites. So Mortal Kombat 2, I love Mortal Kombat 2. It's one of my personal favorites of all time. It's MK1, but more the original Mortal Kombat, but it's grittier and darker. Like it's grittier, darker, grimier, grungier. Like I don't know, however, whatever words you want to use for it, but it definitely is one of my personal favorites. Alongside Street Fighter Alpha 2, which I think is the best Street Fighter game of all time. Honestly, that's the game when I actually tried to learn how to play these games like on a arcade stick and get some knowledge of how to play the games, learning commands and stuff. Like when it came to Street Fighter, Alpha 2 is the game where I really cut my teeth with. Like I really learned how to actually play Street Fighter. Like I play 6, 5 I stopped playing for a while and then kind of went back to it after maybe like the second season, give or take. Because the vanilla like had nothing, and I'm just like, all right, cool, I'm playing online, and I kind of got bored with I just got bored. It had nothing for me as a casual. I don't mind the word casual because I just say it in the sense of I'm not somebody who plays all freaking day. I love these games, but I am not meta plus minus sabermetrics FGC fan. I'm a casual player who goes outside and enjoys life, but also likes to play fighting games too. So there's that. But with Street Fighter 5, like I played it a little, I played it, but I kind of went back to it more as the shelf life of it started to pass. But definitely, like I said, this here Alpha 2 is the game where I really learned how to really cut my teeth on learning how to play Street Fighter, like fundamentals and things of that nature, learning distances, learning anti-airs, and when to, how certain attacks to wake up, timing, just really the ins and outs of Street Fighter and playing fighting games. This game I learned a lot from this game. So this is what aside from it being a quality game amongst most fighting game fans, that's why it holds. I have a lot of high regard to it for that alone, because of just how much I learned just playing Street Fighter from it, pretty much. Obviously, like Third Strike is up there. Third Strike is an acquired taste. I'm learning how to play it. Like I'm not a parry master, but just learning timing and combos. Like every Street Fighter, like yes, it's Street Fighter, but once you get to the more ins and outs of them, not the ins and outs, that kind of sounds crazy, but the more, not crazy, but it sounds a little bit, once you get more, get a bigger, deeper understanding of the games, you realize like how different they are. So like Alpha, I understand a lot, whereas with Third Strike or the threes in general, which while I do love them, I actually really like those games. I'm still learning how to master those, but I like playing 4, I like playing 5. 6 I kind of stopped playing for a while, really because of, as you can see, Marvel vs. Capcom 2, the Marvel vs. Capcom collection, which I've been putting time into, like playing every single game, but learning how to play those games as well. So but yeah, the Marvel vs. Capcom collection I've really been playing a lot. I haven't gamed too much the last couple weeks because as I'm recording this, breaking the fourth wall, it's December, getting into the holidays, seeing family, you know how the end of the year goes, where you kind of just getting everything, all your ducks in a row for the new year. So I've been playing a lot of the Marvel vs. Capcom collection when I've had a chance to, playing every game. Marvel Superheroes was the one I personally owned as a child. For the people who are not familiar, most of those home ports for those games are ass. So I'm glad that we got the Marvel vs. Capcom collection, because like the games take forever to load. They're just slow. If you play them on the arcade compared to like at home, for somebody who plays games, like I can just feel the difference, and I could just tell. So, that kind of was a thing of like a lot of the 90s games. There weren't really many, there were home ports that were close to the arcade ports, as we get past the 90s and the arcade started to phase out, but nothing just feels better than that arcade hardware or that arcade, port, compared to a home port. So I love the Marvel vs. Capcom collection, and I've been playing the hell out of it for that reason, because even with the arcade difficulty being annoying, like I'm learning how to play these games again from the ground up. I never owned Marvel vs. Capcom 2. I had a neighbor, shout out to my neighbor, wherever he is, God bless him, but he had it for Xbox. And I wasn't an Xbox head. I was a PlayStation person, but I would play a little bit on Xbox, but I always wanted to learn how to play Marvel vs. Capcom 2, Marvel vs. Street Fighter, X-Men vs. Street Fighter, so on and so forth, like sitting down and like actually learning them, considering they could be a little janky at times, but that's the fun of them. That's the glory about them, but that's really what I've been playing a lot of, and learning those games from the ground up, which I've had fun with. I didn't realize the specials were, compared to Street Fighter, where you have to do quarter circle forward, quarter circle forward, and then 3 punch buttons. Like, I didn't know it was just quarter circle forward and the 3 punch buttons. Like, it's like little intricacies like that I'm like, wait, I didn't know that. I thought, because Capcom made it, the controls were the same. But it's little things here and there, learning assists and learning just little things about those games that are a lot of fun. So I've been playing that, but definitely want to get back more into the swing with Tekken 8. Tekken 3 is probably my favorite. I would say is my favorite Tekken of all time. I had a lot of memories on that game on PlayStation. I think I love that game so much. I had the original copy, like the original game, going back to the greatest hits thing, because the original Tekken 3 had the artwork with all the characters on it, and in the greatest hits artwork, it was just a blacked out disc. So I played that game so much. I think I scratched the first one and got another copy, like, because it was $20, and my parents were like, after begging them, they were like, all right, cool, sorry, we'll get that for you. So Tekken 3 is definitely a game I'd used a lot of time on. But and then when it comes to Mortal Kombat, my favorites, I'll probably say, now with how bad MK1 is, which that's, like I said, this is an introduction episode. I'm not going to get too much into those topics. That'll be for the next episode, just discussing what's been going on with the FGC, especially with the downfall of Mortal Kombat, especially with the downfall, why MK1, the domino effect of why MK1 is in the state it's in, where they may not get a third season of DLC and updates, which, like I said, we'll get into, on the next episode of this illustrious project. But Mortal Kombat, my favorite will probably be, I'm going to say MK9 by a slim margin. Mortal Kombat 2, Mortal Kombat X are probably the top 3 for me. And then if you want to if I have to put a 3D era game in there, I'd probably say I would say Deception. And then I put Shaolin Monks. That would be like the top 5, I think. I think that's a great top 5. You could put Trilogy in there. You could put some games, but definitely, like, realizing, looking at everything that happened with MK1, I started really looking at MK9. I played a lot of, and MKX I did too. But I was like, let me just go watch MKX videos, like, just to look at the difference. And it is crazy how fast MKX and 9 were compared to just how bogged down and slow MK1 is. Like I don't know if NetherRealm was sipping on that activist when they were making MK1, but like I said, I'm not gonna make this an MK1 slander episode yet. And as a Mortal Kombat fan, it disappoints me because I'm a huge fan of the series. I like the lore, even though it's pretty much, when it started, it was literally Enter the Dragon meets Star Wars meets Big Trouble in Little China, meets a little bit of Highlander. And then it turned into this multiverse, time traveling, whatever the fuck. I feel like I'm that meme where it's like utter woke nonsense. Like, and I hate people using the word woke now because of, where we're at in the world. That the word woke is like a damn near like a slur, But it's just a mess, man. But that really like MK, yeah, I would say Mortal Kombat is really like, yeah, MK, like, if I just off memory, it's 2, 9, X, 2, 9, and yeah, 2, I would say 2, 9, X, and then if I had to, then like Deception and Shaolin Monks really are the top 5 games for me in regards to Mortal Kombat. Which maybe one day I'll do. Maybe one day I'll do a series ranked for all of them just to put them out as projects. But yeah, I played a lot. I played, even Samurai Showdown. I remember playing as a kid. Really in America, they weren't the most accessible games. Like Samurai Showdown 1 came out, and then I don't think 2 ever got to an American system. But then you got 3 and 4, and then the collection, which came out on the Switch, which I have, so that's cool to experience. I think I briefly played the most recent one that came out in 2019, 2020. So hopefully they make a new one. But I'm looking forward to what SNK does. King of Fighters 15 I ended up buying for $20, and I've enjoyed it for what it's worth. That's another series I would like to learn how to play the ins and outs of eventually, because it's such a different contrast compared to like Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat, given that King of Fighters was like a byproduct of the original Capcom team for Street Fighter. So there's that. But definitely looking forward to the games I'm looking forward to are like Fatal Fury. I'm looking forward to in April. We're getting Capcom Fighting Collection 2 with Street Fighter Alpha 3 Upper, which is cool, which is like the final, I think it is the final version, or the second to final revision of Street Fighter Alpha 3, which is another game I also remember playing a lot as a kid. Capcom versus SNK 1 and 2, Power Stone, Rival School, which I'm looking forward to playing on hardware, because I didn't have a Dreamcast as a kid. Like I said, I was a straight up Nintendo and Sony child. So really those are the two games I'm like, fighting wise, I'm looking forward to playing. And those are really that. Aside from that, like other games, it'll be eventually I want to get the I know while I'm recording this, I think the Power Rangers Rita's Rewind game recently came out or is about to come out. So definitely down the line gonna play that. I really enjoyed what Digital Eclipse did with Shredder's Revenge for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So I'm looking forward to that Rita's Rewind as well. But that's really I guess a brief little intro just about me, And again, you could follow me, because I am shocked I did not do this. Let me just add this here. That is my Twitter if you ever want to talk, anything, gaming, sports, music, news, whatever. But definitely you can follow me there, and we can talk whatever. But yeah, this is going to be a nice little, escape away from where I could talk more fighting game centered stuff, aside from our normal Show Your Work, where it's pretty much a stream of consciousness talking about whatever happened, whatever's happening in general in the internets, type of thing. So this is definitely going to be maybe a bi-weekly, monthly episodic kind of thing. I won't be too much of a lot of uploads. If there's anything where there's more recent uploads, it'll probably be just a lot of ranking games from the past, or like personal favorite soundtracks, or like I stated, like logos, whatever I feel like ranking or talking about, whether it's fighting games that doesn't take too much of the time on the podcast, will definitely be on Super Art Radio. So I'm looking forward to doing more of these episodes. Again, this is just a brief intro. Again, you can follow me above at WhoIsOriginal. That's on Twitter. You can follow the podcast at SYWNET. And the Super Art Radio episodes will be on the Show Your Work Network YouTube page. They'll have their own playlist. You could kind of run them back. But again, just a little brief introduction. We'll get more of these coming soon. Got a whole bunch of ideas that I'm looking to do in regards to this. Gonna do more streams too. I kind of have took a little bit of a break from that. Life be life, and a lot of content we were putting out all the times, and sometimes you need to give yourself that break, aside from your weekly stuff. But we'll definitely do more fighting game streams, more of these type of fighting game episodes with Super Art Radio. So again, thank you guys, and of course, like, share, and subscribe as you see here. Well, shout out to the Make Artists and Catering. Shout out to Guessing from the Stands. Of course, our team at Show Your Work Network. Of course, we have a Discord as well, which is the Union Discord, which is in the link in these 3 podcasts' respective bios. And you can join there. We talk gaming there as well. We do voice streams. We do voice chat streams. We have guesting from the Red Zone, where we're just on red. We're watching Red Zone as a family on Discord, just shooting the breeze. We have our pop-ups where we're just gaming at night, just talking about whatever. So I mean, it's a safe space. I pride myself on that. The guys in the union, we pride ourselves on that. That's the most important part, to make everything safe. Most importantly, to have fun. But again, appreciate you guys for tapping into this. I will have another. I'm so used to saying we. I'm sorry, y'all. I will have another episode coming soon. Kind of bringing down the last couple of weeks, especially with the drama surrounding Mortal Kombat 1. Giving a nice little time off for those who are in the know, for those who may not be in the know, and for those who want to be in the know. So, anywho, I'm out of here. Appreciate you guys. Peace out, and y'all be safe.